Welcome back to another episode. This is episode 6 on the educational reforms episodes that we are doing. So, in the last episode, we covered most of the gaps. I think there are just one or two left. Maybe we can start with that. And we have our guest speaker, expert, Arvinda Tanirbavi. So, Arvinda, I'll hand it over to you. Maybe you can cover the remaining gaps and get into the solutions.
Thanks once again, Giri, taking so much effort to continue these sessions and helping me to come up with this discussion and very seriously involving the discussion so that actual meaning is conveyed to the people who are supposed to take the actions. Uh,
Yep,
So,
doing my
coming to,
bit so that it can reach the right people.
yeah, our intention is to sometime at least our grandchildren will be learning in a system where they are happy and they should not be
Absolutely.
telling like our education system is bad. That should not be our that should be our goal. Like at least our grandchildren should be telling like, oh, our education system is the best.
Awesome.
So coming to the gaps, so we discussed about gurukulas in some of the previous episodes. So what is my understanding in the NEP, going through the NEP, discussing with many people in different forums also, the people who are experts who come up with the policy, I think we have some not understood the real meaning of Gurukulas. I won't say not understood. Maybe we have over shadowed by the uh, grandness of Takshashila or whatever that names of great Gurukulas around the universities around India in 10th century or before 10th century, around 11th century. So are you there, Giri?
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I can hear you.
okay. Okay. So the impact of that kind of understanding is like actually Gurukula meaning a guru who was expert in a particular field. It could be a dance or art field or any sculpture or any other field. If he is willing to teach, the student used to go to his house and stay there or somewhere nearby to learn that skill and come back to their village or area and then start practicing that skill or doing something. So that was the actual meaning of Gurukula a century ago. But we confused with the multidisciplinary institutions, some of the famous institutions we read in our scriptures and in our great stories, and also so what we have failed to understand, and then we missed the current. How do we incorporate such institutions which are already in that forum? For example, I am a dancer. So if you have to learn a dance, a particular style like Pandanalluru or Mysore style or some other style, a teacher who is expert in that style, if he's staying in Chennai or in Bangalore or Mysore, I have to go there and then learn from them. Nowadays, some online courses are also started, but still the that practice of people going into Chennai or Tanjavur or some other area where the experts of that particular style is temple dance or any other dance, they go there and then they stay there and then learn that if they're running a school, they'll join that kind of an institution. So the people who want to go in that direction will not be part of this mainstream education, whatever you are defining in the modern NEP. So they'll be always difficult. They have to manage this both. Like they have to pass 10th grade, 12th grade, then degrees. Parallelly, they have to go to the such places and then do. It's very difficult. Even in sports field also, if they are continuing in sports, it's very difficult to continue with this kind of like write history, learn English, Sanskrit, so many things.
And also, most of current education is tuned towards technical education, where we are talking mostly science or maths or maybe even arts. Arts is also systematized. So it's not meant for doing anything outside of the prescribed syllabus. And this syllabus is decided by some authorities and some
Yes,
policymakers at the top.
yes.
That is the
So
problem.
yes, and in this new policy also, they like when you talk about Bharatiyata, okay, let's include dance, okay, let's include Bharatanatyam or some other into the curriculum. So they went into that approach instead of how do we make those institutions itself run our school or run very loosely coupled school where they can a student who is enrolling there also could be pass the 8th grade or 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade without any difficulty. So how those institutions can also be part of this normal school. So because we can't have all the styles taught in all the schools, or we can't define a syllabus for that kind of a variety of subjects. Even if you define, so I saw some recent news where they are including a dance in part of the art education in the schooling. But how do you define it? Like Pandanallur style will you define, or whether you define Mysore style, or whether you go with some style? So that approach is not Bharatiyata way of doing. So if a person who wants to learn dance should be able to go to the school specifically for the dance, or a flute, or any other form of skills. So he should be able to, but he's integrated into the normal schooling also. How do we do that? We should be able to effectively use some technology based schooling, removing that medium instruction, all those techniques. If we use, he'll be he'll be comfortably part of the schooling system, but he'll be learning a very specific subjects in his own area of interest. That should be visualized, and we have to come with a solution for it. So, and the last but one, like self evaluation is totally missed in the current NEP. Any subject, I don't see any self evaluation techniques used in the grading system. Or you might say, okay, oral exams are there, teachers will conduct oral exams, but that is again kind of an exam where teacher decide what he has to answer, and what he has to think, and what he has to learn, and everything. For me, self evaluation.
The problem with self evaluation is, if everybody is self evaluating, if I am a person who has to judge who is the best student, then I will not know how to compare, because each person would have evaluated in his own manner. Right?
See, for example, if you 10th grade pass, you are applying for a clerical job or some job, okay. What are you looking at it? He should be able to go speak in some particular language that you require. He should know some reading and writing skill. Okay. How do you want to evaluate such thing? You speak to him, or if he has any recording, if he has done whatever he's spoken it, or he has done some schooling. Schooling means, you have certificates. Instead of that, for example, he has done one drama in school, in Kannada drama. His part done some part in that, and he has spoken some sentences in that drama. If you have a recording of that, that it is a self-evaluation, right? I can show, like, this is how I can speak Kannada. I was speaking in grade 4. I was speaking like this in grade 6. Now I can speak like this. I can write about something in grade 5. You record it. That's it. And that evaluation will be done by somebody, because he is taking me for a job. Correct? The current system is, teacher is evaluating, he give you 10 marks, 20 marks, 100 marks, and then say you are passed, distinction and everything. Based on that, somebody else also evaluate again whether you are really distinction. So different areas, like for example, if you take a defense exam, they will evaluate whether your height is 6 feet, or weight this much, health parameter, everything they will test. You don't need to worry in the school.
Correct. Which is also happening in technical education today. People are coming out with BTech degrees or BE or whatever is the technical degrees, but then again the colleges are sorry the employers are evaluating them.
Obviously,
So
they have to evaluate,
yeah,
right? So
correct.
when they are evaluating, why are you making the student to keep on memorizing it, writing an exam, 10 grade, whether you give a grade system or mark system? Again, you are moving people to rotten system only.
Correct.
Rote learning. Rote learning. They call rote learning, right? So you make them to keep on learning in that fashion only, instead of break the system. So there is absolutely grade till grade 8 or 10 or something. You don't need any methodology. For example, language learning. If the person knows how to talk and read, it can be very easy. Technology can be easily used to self-evaluate. Somebody else can evaluate me at any point.
So to have convergence on this, we actually need to work outside of the education system also. Employers also need to start changing how they measure
Yes,
students.
yes, they will change. See, if the output is somewhere, if the output is very clear, like, if I am able to show like this is how I can talk with a proof, he doesn't need to check that again. He can check the next level. What is happening in current system is, when a grade engineering student comes for me for an interview, whether he has got 70%, 80%, and I need to check whether he knows basic programming first of all, because there is no
Correct.
clear proof for me whether he really knows it.
Correct.
So our system is designed in such a way the proof is evident. You don't need to check that again. I can go to the higher check whether his attitude is correct, whether he is really able to prove that whatever he has done it. I can do different aspects of evaluation.
Half of the interview process can be answered by the self-assessment
System,
itself.
self-assessment itself. And it will be, nowadays technology is quite advanced. You can't cheat the system. If I record at the age of 3, if whatever he's speaking about, if you store that, that is enough. It cannot be deleted. Though at the age of whether he has really passed grade 3, it can be visible in his talking only. You don't need to have any grade marks or anything. So, English, Kannada, or his social science and all, we can have a very good system where person evaluates himself or teacher evaluates in the school, that is recorded or taken through technology or some means using art, mixing, integrating all those things can be, we can come up with a very beautiful system. You don't need to go with the old macula system of, okay, whether you do a tough exam, difficult exam or less easy exam, okay, so the village people cannot pass, you make more easy. All those problems can be solved.
Do you want to touch upon the next slide? I think you have one more gap to
Yes,
cover,
that's
right?
that's the last, yeah. So the one thing NEP doesn't talk about is the different boards and their approaches. So what I was expecting was from NEP was like, how do we integrate such system? How do we make, is there a way to common way of teaching some basics across the country, irrespective of language, irrespective of that questions are, if we are able to answer, then these boards having different approaches will fade away over the years. So we should have they came up with a national curriculum framework in 2021, but that framework is based on this initial policy, right? So your obvious thinking will be based on that. Okay, you generate a content. So the board can change. So different boards have generating different ways of content. And the government changes, they will generate a different content. So, okay, leftist comes, they will change a different content. Rightist comes, he will change a different content.
But these are not in our control, right? Even if you come up with an ideal solution for all these things, every time a new government comes, their thought process is going to be different.
But if your basic philosophy itself is very simple, for example, language learning, Kannada and English, how do you want to learn language? You go through an art forum. For example, I'll give a solution later. So you go through a theatre technique or Yakshagana or Talamaddale, very simple techniques as the local techniques. Every state has a different way of learning. But we can have one common way of learning language itself where you are integrating art. So all, that, if you are energized or if you bring in those fields, you motivate society to, those fields also get integrated into the system automatically, then obviously the people will start accepting it because you can see the child's growth, personality development, or his communication skills improvement and all. You can see at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8. Then obviously people will accept it. So the why, how these boards were accepted? Oh, ICSE, okay, it has a different way of maths, science, physics, chemistry, maths different. CBSE, it is more analytical. State syllabus is very easy for people so that village people also can pass. Was that the reason we need to have different boards?
Then the
So
whole purpose of this education system is starting to fail because
fail.
you now have, whether it is, you have to measure a person based on his scores and which board he passed in, whether it is
Exactly.
CBSE or state board, all those things.
And again, all of them are approach the same approach. Okay, social science means history, civics, physics. Okay, history, civics, geography, physics, chemistry, mathematics. Scientific temper means reading physics, chemistry, and mathematics. How do you break that system? So that's why we have to different areas. If you are able to identify, make the different ways of learning these things, evaluation techniques. If you work in all areas of education, probably we should be able to get rid of these boards in future. There could be one board. Let these boards be there, but they will be also associated with that board. They will also prescribe those content. They will also work with that same fashion.
Then you are complicating the problem, right? You already have a handful of boards, state board, ICSE, whatever.
Correct, correct,
Now
correct.
we might introduce our own variation of that. So it will just make things complicated. I think it is
No,
best if we can merge all of them and have
merge.
one board. Yes, that
It
will be
it will
best.
automatically merge if you properly build a robust system from the top, start percolating that theory and philosophy and then the funding, everything. If you work, probably these boards will fade basically.
Okay, I think
So
we are coming to the end of the
yeah,
gaps you wanted to
gaps.
cover, right? Okay.
Yes, Yes.
Do you want to quickly summarize these gaps and then switch to the next section?
So if we, based on the gaps, probably I identified in different areas. So if you are able to redefine the purpose of social science, then if you are able to break the myth of medium of instruction, then if you are able to change the way we learn the science, like reading and writing skills are not important when you learn the science. And then if you are able to define the very core areas from grade 1 to 8. So I'm talking about age 5, age 6 to age 13. So when the person comes to teenage, and it is only half of his time is spent on this education. So half a day is mandatory education where you learn languages, social science, math and science, and physical education. Only core areas, and medium is different medium. So you use art for learning English and state language, social science using technology and the very, very practical approach of traveling and then discovering and different areas after grade 4 or grade 5. Math and science, very, very practical approach. There is no reading and writing techniques. And you can have a second part of the education where you have a higher concepts on each of the subjects, where a person can opt for those subjects in the second part, where he can go to a tuition school or some other school taking that higher part. Because see, current system, though you make it simple and all, people, maths, you go to the school, then you go to the tuition center because they are not able to understand. Instead of that, break the math into a very first half, he will be learning very, very minimum thing like arithmetic, then geometry, and then very minimum things for his life skills to be enhanced. And then the higher concepts of maths in the second part where he can opt for it. Like when the person matures or the family understand that this guy is very good in mathematics or this girl is very good in maths and science. So they want to pursue maths and science, they can take the second part. They can go to a different school itself for the second part. So first part, these 4 areas, we should focus with a new methodology and new way of learning and define for only grade 1 to 8. That should be the goal of NEP for the first part. That is my core of so far I am trying to analyze. Second part, grade 9 to 12 also we can touch upon in the next sometime, in the next episode.
Okay. So I think that's a good set of suggestions. Maybe we can start expanding on how each of this is addressing specific problems, maybe in later episodes. But
Yeah.
I think in this series we have covered quite a bit of the gaps that should be food for thought for most of the parents, people who listen to it, maybe somebody from the education departments as well.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
can think
Hope
about
it reaches.
why these things are wrong and how it can be solved. I think NEP did a good attempt. How much did
Yes.
it help? Questionable, but yeah, I think they tried. At least the government did something. But this could be a good start again to review what we have done in NEP. So, Arvinda, I'll probably end this particular episode. Do you have any last thoughts for this episode?
Yes. So my request to the policymakers and the all the responsible people is, please understand the purpose, define the purpose properly, and then you come up with the methodologies and the content instead of going with the approach of content generation and for each grade, which is continuation of the like instead of Akbar, you will be starting content generation for Shivaji. That should not be our approach. So my sincere request to the all the responsible people is, each area of learning, redefine the purpose, then let's discuss more about solutions, because in 1 hour, 1 day, we cannot come up with a great solution. But I can give suggestions and I can discuss in length with the solutions. So that is my humble request, whoever listens to this series of episodes.
Thank you. That was wonderful to listen to. In fact, as we went through the series, I was also trying to think about how education can be improved. So I think I learned a lot. I at least identified a lot of new things by talking to you. So looking forward for the next episodes, Arvinda. I'm going to sign off this episode here. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Thanks, Giri. Thanks a lot for your time, and all the viewers. Thanks if you have come here to watch the 6th episode, means I am little successful. I feel happy that somebody is listening to my thinking. Thanks,
I'm sure
everybody.
we'll bring on even more. We'll bring solutions. We'll bring more ideas. Maybe even more
Yeah.
guests. But
Yeah.
at this moment, I'm going to stop this episode. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for watching.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.